beautiful. It's not Christmas, but he's looking at it like Christmas. And a Sega Saturn. Very beautiful.
Now, the thing with the Sega Saturn that really gets to me is it could have been such a hot system, but it flopped majorly. And the reason for that is they made it to be a 2D system. It was not meant to be 3D at all.
Well, remember, you got Genesis, you got 32X, and then the Sega CD, and then you got this, whatever this was.
This was actually for memory expansion and memory cards, but they were cartridges. There was a cartridge that you put in it, which was like a memory card, and it was also for the 4 meg RAM cartridge for Japanese imports, and for games like X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Street Fighter, so you could swap characters mid-game, because the PS1 versions of them, you could only play as one character at a time. The memory expansion actually allowed you to be able to swap characters mid-game.
Now, you can ask anybody. Nintendo 6, it was Nintendo, Super Nintendo. By the time N64 came out, people were recognizing Super Nintendo. N64 comes out, and then people and then Dreamcube comes out. It seems like we were in a fog. People don't remember the Saturn, people have to remember the Dreamcast. Nintendo GameCube, the retro fans are starting to recognize it now because nobody wants to play many different versions of Call of Duty over and over again. And they're going back to the days where we had variety of games, not variety of a game. So now these retro systems are getting popular late. Now, the Saturn, you can take the Saturn away, you got the Dreamcast. Now, it was too ahead of itself.
The Dreamcast was so ahead of its time. It had the memory expansion port with the little LCD screen for saving games, and when you play the game, you could, if you're playing a football game, you could pick your plays right on the screen, so it wasn't up on the TV.
Right, it's first in the motor pack.
Yep, for rumble features.
Right.
The controller had the analog stick, it had the shoulder buttons, and it was ahead of its time. You gotta think, when the Dreamcast came out, we had PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64. Those were the two systems that were competing at the time. Then this wonder comes out, had unbelievable graphics for its time, and it had network compatibility. You could go online with it, which it only had one game that was online, which was Phantasy Star Online, which was one of the reasons why it failed, the networking, but that's a whole other story. But no, it was a great system.
You had dial-up, so you remember Sega Network, and it had ABL and I don't know what the serial thing is, but I don't know if Sony did something because remember Sony was trying to fit in. Their TVs weren't doing well at the time. Everybody was sick of Sega dominating the system with the 32X, the Sega CD, the Sega Saturn, Genesis. Do you think this could be Sony? And now that Sony came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, people are like, oh my god, when is PlayStation 12 coming out? Do you think they bought Sega to go back and consume a market? The same theory like Nike has so many sneakers and bought out every single brand you can possibly think of. Do you see this coming out with the video game system? Because the only competition you need to pluck out, like Nike is like Reebok is the Nike, no offense, so you can take it however you want to at home, but we know what's popular. And do you see a trend? Because Nintendo has just got the portable market. They made a big mistake with the Wii U, not making a tablet. They should have made it a portable. Yeah. And PS Vita didn't do well. And PSP you could buy it for $50. Do you see PS4 making a Dreamcast 2 to capture the children market like Nintendo has? Because that's the only thing Nintendo has is the kids. With all the 15 billion portable systems they have, right? 2D, 3D, 4D, 1D, all these Game Boy Advances. They got there's a rumor portable.
They could be very much like you're saying, because Sony is dominating the market right now, and Microsoft is just a little bit behind. But as far as Sony's power, they very well could be buying Sega to make another system.
Now, are we getting out of that thing? Because E-Toy failed, the glasses failed, anything 3D failed. you mentioned PS4 and Xbox One in a comedy where people have smartphones and tablets getting free games. Do you think there's a PS1? Do you think there's an Xbox 2? Do you think they can survive? You know, we're starting to get into clouds. Apple wants to get into it with their Apple TV. There's rumors of them getting to the game system, while PS4 and Xbox One wants to get on the cable TV market. Where do you see this going? Because as things are going future, we don't own our games no more, and people are going back to the cartridges, seeing a GameCube, seeing a Dreamcast. I mean, I show people and it's like brand new, like were we in a fog? Did too much shit come out? I know Nintendo made a mistake not having the cartridge in the mini CD. By the time they got there, they're done.
It's the same thing like what happened in 1982 when the video game crash happened. They overflooded the market.
And so you're seeing this again.
Yeah, I can totally see, not a video game crash, but I can see a total over marketing of stuff coming out, because I mean, like Nintendo, I mean, they just came out with the Wii U a couple years ago, and now they're making the Fusion. They're already talking about that. And talking about the Wii U, Zelda Hyrule Warriors is coming out in a couple of weeks, and that's basically a Dynasty Warrior clone using Zelda characters. So Nintendo is doing whatever they can to make money right now, just to stay floating. I mean, the only reason Nintendo is even still a hardware manufacturer is because of their handheld systems. They've always done well.
So you think, at this time, do you think Microsoft owns it, and it's Sony and the front of Sega, and Nintendo's just there?
Could be, yeah.
And that's what we got for now. We're gonna keep you updated.